So I just finished watching The Witcher: Sirens of the Deep, and there are some great and not so great things about this movie. Like some people, I went in blind watching this as I haven't read the story A Little Sacrifice, which is supposed to be the material the movie is based on. So if you want to hear if this movie is worth watching, stick around to the end of the short video and don't worry, there won't be any major spoilers or anything like that. Let's start off with the biggest reason why people were even interested in this movie to begin with, which is having Doug voice acting as Geralt again. It was really great hearing his iconic voice, and his performance was really good with that gruffness, dry humor, and I don't know, having that same old Geralt personality that we know him for. The scenes with Geralt were definitely the stronger points of the movie because of how they were able to capture this essence overall, and it really brought back that nostalgic feeling a bit that some fans of the Witcher series will definitely appreciate. So I really like that. But the other aspects of the show, however, are where things start to have some ups and downs, like the animation, for example. The fighting scenes with the main characters was good for the most part. The action sequences with Geralt were done well. Sometimes it was a bit over the top with the mid-air movements, but it didn't really bother me too much. And I like the animation of the various usage of Witcher signs, and they were a bit creative at times, so I wish they would have included this a little bit more. But in regards to the animation, what kind of bothered me a bit was the background animation of some characters and action scenes because of how janky it kind of looked. The way these characters moved in the background looked so wonky. The difference in animation quality compared to how the main characters moved made it really distracting at times. And not to mention, I swear they must have killed the same soldier like 7 times because the designs of these characters are basically the same and they have a really notable different quality look to them. Really, I think what happened was they took a generic model and just said this is fine and copy and pasted it in many different scenes, and normally it wouldn't be that big of a deal, but I swear during the last battle sequence on the ship, little spoiler alert, it's so noticeable because they occasionally pan to these generic looking ass characters like we're supposed to care about them or something. But I don't know, besides that, I think the various locations in the city of Bremervord had a nice medieval inspiration, which added well to the same settings that The Witcher is known for. So I guess overall, I thought the animation was okay in general. The next thing is the music, which I thought was great, and it reminded me of the games with its heavy Central Eastern European influence. And I like how they incorporated this into the movie, which helped set up the fight scenes and just the overall atmosphere. And I think it was the first time any of the adaptations had this kind of music, so I give them a big thumbs up for this. But while I appreciate the music, the musical scenes were so OD, and yes, you heard me, there are musical scenes in this movie. I'm not the biggest fan of things that are made into musical scenes in general, but I can kind of tolerate them if the mood fits. Like, I think most people will agree that when there's a bard, expect at least maybe one or two musical scenes for better or worse. And in this case with Yasker or Dandelion, whatever it is you want to call him, this was of course expected, but there is one scene that is basically a rip-off Disney Ursula-ass musical from a different character, and this killed the vibe that I associate with the Witcher series. And I remember this moment was so out of pocket, and before the scene even happened, I joked about if this character suddenly busted out doing a song like this would be so random, but when it actually happened, I was on the verge of pressing that skip ahead button. Yeah, I mean, I don't associate Witcher villains with musicals, so I couldn't take one of the big bads in this movie seriously. And this kind of leads me to my final point and the most important aspect of any film, which is the story. If I were to describe how I felt after watching this movie, it would be, I don't know, like lukewarm, I guess. It starts off okay, but it really never builds any momentum. And while watching, I remember checking how much time I had left because it felt like there was not much to really catch your interest in the story, and a good chunk of it honestly felt like a filler episode or something. Also, at other times, it felt like I was watching a retelling of an adult rated R version of The Little Mermaid instead of watching a Witcher based film. And to kind of bog things down a bit more, after the final battle, I felt like the ending moments and the grand takeaway from the story was very forgettable because of how surface level and cliche the themes of the movie were written and ultimately executed. And I don't know, to me, there was not a real moment in the film that had an impact to make it memorable in terms of the story. I honestly think that because this is an adaptation, it trips on itself so much in trying to maintain the original plot while mixing it up a bit that the movie's story just overall falls flat. Nightmare of the Wolf was way better and with a more memorable story and experience that makes it rewatchable, and I was really hoping that this film will also have this similar feeling as well, but for Sirens of the Deep, I think the moments that kept me going midway past the movie were just a few crumbs of good moments with Geralt, and I don't know. Overall, as a viewer that did not read a story, A Little Sacrifice, I think Witcher Sirens of the Deep is at best mid and something to maybe watch on a slow weekend to pass the time if you have any free time. But if you read the books, I don't know, you may have a rougher time watching this from what I've been hearing, so just a little bit of a heads up. But again, all of this is just my opinion. And for those of y'all who have watched the movie, what did y'all think about the film? And for people who have read the short story, do you guys recommend it? And do you need to read the previous books before this? Let us know in the comments because I'm really curious, and leave a thumbs up and subscribe if you like this video. And I hope to see you guys in the next one.